Threat. We have yet another threat on top of everything that Jim just talked about, and that is the flood threat. There are some places in Louisiana up towards Missouri where we are 6 inches above average on rainfall, and we are going to get more because this moisture is going to keep flowing northbound, not only today, into tomorrow, but into our Friday. So it's several rounds of rain and really over a lot of the same areas. Look at this boundary that just kind of hangs out. See how it's stalled? It's a stalled out front. You can tell that by the red and the blue and how they're alternating. That's an indication of a stalled front. So it doesn't move. That's a lifting mechanism. And that means you're going to get rain right over the same areas. So all the way through Saturday afternoon, another 3 to 5 inches on saturated grounds. Look, not everyone is 6 inches above average. A couple of us might be a little bit below average here and there by 1 to 2 inches. But it's not like we're in a drought and we've seen a lot of rain in these places and we're going to get more. Here's the batch of rain that we're following this morning into Tennessee. As you can see, that kind of falls apart as we head into the evening hours, and then we refocus back into the Midwest, and then you see more energy spin up. So the thing is in the atmosphere right now, there's a bunch of pieces of energy. So when one starts to fade, another one's right behind it, and that's one of the reasons that we continue to stay active. Look at this, Thursday into our Friday, and this will be all warm, moist air. So that means that we could see drenching rain not only tomorrow into Friday morning, but as we head into the weekend as well. It takes a while for this to finally clear out. It's not going to be until Saturday when the thing really gets moving, and we could see that flooding rain here along the Ohio River all the way down to the Mississippi River. But Jordan, hey, look at that, clearing out beautifully Saturday, though Sunday, another pop of energy wants to return.
Hey, that'll be nice for the weekend, though.
Yes, spring is officially here. We're working our way through the first full week, but before we look ahead at what to expect, let's look back at the winter that wasn't for the eastern half of the country. Our temperatures were well above average in the South, the Midwest, and the Northeast. In fact, New York City had its second warmest winter on record, and with that came a lot more rain than snow. And that was the case really for majority of the cities in the Northeast, and many have notable snow deficits. From D.C. to Boston, we're anywhere from 1 to nearly 3 feet below average, while Syracuse has one of the biggest deficits of over 4.5 feet. Now to the west, the complete opposite. It has most definitely been winter here, and we are overwhelmed with the snow. In the Sierra, we are seeing snowpack that is up to 277% of average, and we'll be adding more to this in the coming weeks. Now, all the snow and all the rain we've seen here, too, has been disruptive and destructive, but there have been some benefits. Let's look back at December 6th at our drought monitor. Now, we're going to play this out to bring it up into modern time here, and as we do, know that water restrictions have been lifted for millions, reservoirs are filled above their typical winter levels, and the drought has been cut dramatically. Look at the day. Less than half of California is now in a drought. Let's go to the Midwest and see what we've been dealing with. We've had a bit of a mixed bag here for our winter. We've had double-digit deficits from Chicago all the way down into Omaha, while spots north of there are inching towards records. And it's all of this snow that is one of the reasons that the flood risk is above normal for the Mississippi River from the Twin Cities downstream to near St. Louis. Moderate to major flooding is possible, and flood levels could be the worst we've seen in over 20 years from parts of Minnesota to Iowa. And remember, it was just last fall that below average rainfall caused dozens of river gauges across the Mississippi watershed to reach record lows. This, of course, is one of the busiest waterways in the country. It was backed up by thousands of barges as the Mississippi River shrunk to levels that hadn't been seen in a decade. Let's look forward now for our spring outlook. Over the next 3 months, we are going to stay wet here around the Great Lakes. We'll get a little bit drier in the west. And when it comes to temperatures, it's looking like majority of the country will be staying above average. So, Jim, it seems like we've been hot and we will continue to be so.
Steph, I think one of the keys to that map right there is, if it verifies, the fact that we're below average temperatures both where we have the biggest snowpack in the west and the upper Midwest, right? Yeah,
that's exactly true. That's a very good point, Jim, because obviously when you have the snow on the ground, it acts like a refrigerator or freezer. It keeps everything colder.
Right. You don't want it to melt too fast. Great stuff, Stephanie.
Californians will spend the day cleaning up after this powerful storm really rocked our world yesterday and is still affecting us today. Winds with this system left thousands in the dark and gave us hurricane-force gusts. Now, this storm is the 12th atmospheric river to hit California this season. It was a 2 on a scale of 1 to 5. And even produced a radar-indicated tornado in Malibu. If confirmed, Jordan, it will be the most tornadoes in 1 month in California since February of 2019.
It has been so active. I mean, you could.
It's yellow, let it mellow.
Welcome back to Pattern, everybody. There you go. Trees play an important role in sheltering cities from extreme heat and, of course, capturing our carbon emissions as well. This is why a recent ruling in a Los Angeles court is a big win for environmentalists and for trees.
Yes, we do have Jeannie McConnell, who is the co-founder of Angelinos for Trees, who is joining us now. Thank you for coming on to talk about this, because this ruling has spared more than 12,000 mature trees in Los Angeles. So why were they going to be removed in the first place? McConnell from Angelos for Trees. Thank you so much. Angelinos, yep. Excuse me, for Trees. Thank you so much.
No, it's a win. I mean, especially if you have an old tree. Like, I remember I had this house with this amazing tree in the backyard.
Yeah.
And there were things that this tree was doing to my house that I was always worrying me. But I didn't want to chop that thing down. I mean, it was part of the whole property. It was so cool. And you have something that's 100, 200, 300 years old.
You don't want to
keep it as long as
because
possible.
I think it's hard to transplant them when they're that old, right?
And they're
when
really
a tree
smart.
Is that old.
They have wisdom.
And they talk to each other. Didn't we talk about how the root system, they talk to each other? They need each other.
You need a hug, you just hug a tree.
For more stories like these, check out Per Person.
You ever done the milk gallon challenge?
What's that?
Where you try to drink a gallon of milk and anyway, me too, I think about that too.
No,
welcome back, everybody.
Our oceans are working overtime. Their habitats to thousands of marine species, food sources to us humans, and they're the biggest carbon dioxide sink in the world.
Unfortunately, they're also filled with plastic.
Overwhelmed.
On World Water Day, it's something conservation group 4Ocean is working to fix.
You see how much they collect.
I was going to say, every time there's a bag of plastic, I'm like, my gosh, and there's so much more where that came from.
Yeah, and think of the big garbage patch, too, that's out there floating. All right, well, let's move on to international news.
Yeah, we got some climate headlines from around the world we want to get you all caught up. But then the fact that it's not even getting recycled.
I know. I remember that story. That's not fun at all. Yeah. Another thing that's not fun is the rain, all the snow, still dealing with some flooding.
Oh, it's funny that we're like, oh, we hope California gets some sunshine. Right. They're usually like the sunniest, place ever. Thanks, Lynette.
Here's what's coming up tomorrow on Pattern, even in excited to see what project she's been working on with
this first one is this castle that's been there like 400 years, she was telling me. And because of climate change, it's starting to...
Oh, no. We'll have that tomorrow.